Oh.
Generally, the Bourne series is known around the world for being okay. Watching the films could be entertaining, but you don't find many people spending their weekends watching them, buying merchandise, writing fanfiction, or anything else that most other fan bases do. The fan base has also never asked for a video game one series, but one came out anyway, and I suppose that's the reason why nobody really gave a shit about it. I saw it on a shelf and decided to play it, like I do with most games nowadays. The game is usually called The Bourne Conspiracy, yet the cover suggests that it's actually titled Robert Loveden's The Bourne Conspiracy, and a shameless attempt to say we think we're Splinter Cell. Don't you just fucking hate it when someone directly copies another thing, and doesn't even do that thing well? Oh, okay, shut up. The game's story, of course, is that of Jason Bourne, a character best portrayed by Matt Damon, although his massive face has been cut from this game to be replaced by stock young American white action hero character number 3. The very first scene in the game surprised me. The game began with Bourne standing around in a fancy Paris setting with streetlights, wine, and many French people doing French things, and it all looked very, very pretty and very, very French. Even the sound was quite impressive as it delivered the aura of a Paris street made busy with restaurant goers and waiters. I struggled to find an issue early on. Bourne's animation was fine, his character model was pretty, and this surprised me further when I reminded myself this is an unpopular movie spin-off game that I had never heard of from 2008. First impressions would suggest that the game is perfectly fucking fine! Did I feel the same way 20 minutes later? Did I shit? Well, before that I was introduced to the game's hand-to-hand combat system. It was incredibly simple. You bump into an enemy's range and the camera changes to present you and him one-on-one, and then you fight. Does it work? It works bloody fantastic alloy. Strikes of weapon incredibly well animated, characters develop marks when they've been hit, the camera is dynamic, making the whole ordeal look like a genuine action film fight scene, and all in all it looks thoroughly great. It's enjoyable and insanely brutal, good enough to be compared with the great Last of Us hand-to-hand combat. When I first realised how good it was, I immediately thought, well, I hope they use this a lot in the game, and the Bourne Conspiracy delivers by putting the system into every mission, including boss fights where the system is pushed to its full potential with tougher opponents. So wow, 2 minutes in and you already think it's worth buying. Let's throw money at it. No. Shortly after using the hand-to-hand combat for the first time, I was introduced to what really is the game's backbone feature. Wait for it, QTEs! Quick time events! Yay! Fuck you! There are a lot of them, and after walking away from the first few fights, I was first introduced to them all of a sudden in an incredibly cocky move of quick press this or die, you suck. It's even worse the first time round because you weren't really expecting it at all, because the previous gameplay seemed so fine, and I could go into detail as to why QuickTime events suck, but I would prefer to just say what the QuickTime events in this game suck, and truthfully, it's just because it's not fun to do QuickTime events, it's not cool to do QuickTime events, they're boring as fuck! Back to my first experience with the QTEs, I was taken by surprise, so I failed, causing Bourne to die in an incredibly shitty animation that made me ask out loud, sorry, but is this the same game that I was playing before of all the cool combat? Well, apparently it is, because there are such a thing as multiple takedowns during outnumbered fights that lets you take out up to 3 at once. And yes, the QTEs have caught up into that part of the game's arsehole as well. Don't get me wrong, no other fault to the hand-to-hand combat. It's hardly perfect, although dynamic and interesting, the in-fight camera is crap. I mean, other than the usual side-to-side view, the camera also gives you the fight from worm's eye view, bird's eye view, up-down view, down-up view, and they also seem randomly put together with some occasional cameo from the infamous, hey, let's look over there at something completely unrelated view. Practically, what I'm saying is that it doesn't really work in a video game. Maybe in a cinematic experience, but not in a video game when you have to control a character. This whole issue messed me up many times in otherwise impressive fights, especially the boss fights, which I found fucking difficult. Okay, I'm going to stop talking about the fist fighting altogether now, so let's look at everything else in the game. Spoiler! Everything else is a pile of shit! Shooting people in cover is drab in that guns are incredibly unsatisfying and pea shooters and paper missiles can replace them in order to feel as if we're holding more dangerous, impactful weapons. The opening level features a boss who is running around with a gun all day, but then decides to put it down as soon as Jason Bourne walks into the room to smugly smack him in the face instead. The cover system is an incredible part of art since Bourne is sometimes too stroppy to crouch behind some objects and would rather be shot multiple times in the back of the head. The game claims to have stealth, but that's incredibly unapparent throughout. The AI are stupid and not usually aware of danger. I see this when I suffer a serious case of staying the fuck there, even when Bourne's shots are getting closer and closer. Bourne himself controls like a tank on skates, which is a stupid feature for an action game in which you may find yourself having to turn 180 quickly. It turns incredibly slowly, even during dangerous shootouts, although he may turn faster if you turn and sprint at the same time. But this turning circle is about the same size as your mother's waist, making him practically throw himself at enemy bullets. I mean, what the fuck game? Even now, Tomb Raider's had a way for you to turn around at the press of a button, so you really should be doing better there. The Red Mini from the films also makes an appearance in the game, and I swear it controls like it was made by me in Kerbal Space Program, in that it controls like a pile of fucking shite. So, the main question is whether or not the good outweighs the bad or vice versa, and I must admit, it's pretty close. I mean, the game has lots of horrible faults, but despite them it's still playable. All the crappy stuff just ties up the great hand-to-hand combat sequences. So is it good or bad overall? I generally can't tell you. It's certainly not a boring game, the action is thrilling enough to entertain anybody, so I suppose it's certainly good for a movie tie-in? Yeah, let's just say that. It's not entirely shit. That's my conclusion. Put that quote on your PS3 Platinum edition of the game.